working there.
Coaching, recruiting, developing.
We're on to something here.
Keep winning. Nick Saban is here with us now, head coach of the Crimson Tide. And likely the first one of your players to have his name called will be Mika Fitzpatrick. Whether it's anecdotal or personality tests, they say that he is very much like you. What's it been like coaching a guy like you?
Don't put that on the poor guy. I tell you what, he's a great, great person. I mean, he's got a great personality. He's got great enthusiasm in terms of what he does. I don't think there's ever been a player that is a great player, that has all the ability, that works harder, tries to do more, cares about the team more, all the intangible things that you look at. You know, you get sometimes with the guys that aren't as good athletes, but he's a great athlete that has all the intangibles.
Coach, what is the most common trait you've seen in your college players that translate to national football success?
I think it's the guys that have the maturity to be responsible for their own self-determination. They can make the kind of choices and decisions on their own, without structure, without somebody else making them do those things that are going to help them sort of reach their full potential and continue to grow and develop. And I think that's a real key for any player.
You obviously spent some time with the Dolphins. You spend a majority of your time studying the college game and your team and your conference. But when you give your guys advice about trying to be successful at the next level, whether they're a corner or a running back or whatever they are, what are your words typically? What do you talk to them about their opportunity at that next step?
Well, I think the biggest thing I try to get our players to understand is they've been told how good they are from the time they were in the 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. But when you come to draft night and you come to the NFL draft, people are looking for reasons why not to pick you. So why ever give anybody to put "but" behind your name in terms of whether it's character, whether it's the way you compete, it's the consistency and performance that you have. So that's the thing that players really need to understand, that everybody's looking for a reason not to pick you. Don't give them a reason to not do that.
Coach, I look at your players, especially defensively, and to me they always have like this toughness about them. And when you recruit these young men out of high school, is that something that you look for? And if it is, like how do you know it when you see it?
Well, I think it's basically about how a guy performs. I think, you know, when you watch a young man play in high school, you can kind of tell, does he have an appetite for, you know, being aggressive, wanting to be physical, wanting to hit people. And I think we try to build that in our program, so we try to develop that, not at the expense of hurting players or beating them up, but trying to get them to understand the importance of, you know, giving effort, playing with toughness, being responsible to know what you do. Those are all things that you can do without ability. They're choices. So those are the kind of intangibles we try to build on our team. But I think you have to recruit those things, too. You can't always make them.
There are a couple of guys that we expect to hear their names called tonight, Deron Payne and Rashaan Evans, who did change themselves over the course of time at Alabama. What transformation, what improvement have you seen from those two guys particularly?
Well, you know, Deron turned out to be a fantastic player, and when we recruited him, he was just a big, powerful guy. And I think what he developed into was a much more athletic, better pass rusher, more active player, more quickness. So I think he's really enhanced his overall potential because of that. Rashaan Evans was a guy that played with his hand in the dirt all the time in high school. And we recruit a lot of guys like that because playing at 3-4, you want bigger backers. And a lot of those guys are playing down in high school. So he made a great transition from hand in the dirt, outside backer to inside backer, and probably made more progress because of that, because he had a greater transition than anybody else.
You're known for your defense and defensive mind, but obviously have a lot to do with trying to stop offenses and understanding offensive football. What does Calvin Ridley bring to the table as a receiver that maybe people don't quite have a full appreciation for yet?
Well, I think Calvin is really hard to cover, and he's got great hands. And the reason he's hard to cover is he's got great quickness, and he's tremendous in and out of breaks. You know, you're either going to beat somebody on release, or you're going to beat them out of the break most of the time, and he's exceptional at being able to beat people out of the break because of his lateral quickness and explosiveness.
Nick obviously has a lot of experience in the NFL. He's going to stay with us for another segment, talk some big picture issues as we get closer and closer to this 2018 NFL draft. Alabama here's several players calling. Obviously, Nick coached against a lot of the players.